there's an awful lot of baby boomers that are relying on Social Security. And of course, Social Security, ever since day one, has been a Ponzi scheme. And that's coming to an end at this point because the U.S. government is bankrupt and it's running trillion-dollar deficits going to $2 trillion. So I don't know what these people relying on Social Security. I don't know what's going to happen to these people. I don't know where the money is going to come from. Pension funds. It's amazing. There are bankrupt pension funds even today. I don't know how this happened with the stock market and the bond markets both at all-time highs. How are there underfunded pension funds, especially run by states and cities? How did they do this during a huge financial bubble? So this is a real problem. I mean, a lot of people, and then the real estate market will get hit. No, this is a big deal we're looking at. I mean, it's actually kind of scary. I just want to watch it on my widescreen out on my farm. I don't want to watch it out my front window.
Welcome to Finance and Liberty. We have a guest today who's been with us once before on our Elect on Purpose channel. He's back with us here today, Doug Casey from the InternationalMan.com. He's also of CaseyResearch.com. He's the author of 2 New York Times bestsellers, Crisis Investing and Strategic Investing, and 2 novel series, as well as a couple new novels coming out soon, right? Speculator and Drug Lord?
Well, yeah, they're already out. And in February, we anticipate that the third in the series of 7, the third will be called Assassin, will be coming out because our hero, Charles Knight, has twice had a couple $100 million stolen from him by the government. And at the end of Drug Lord, they put him in jail. So he's a pissed off camper, and he decides it's time to take executive action. So in the upcoming Assassin, we talk about the morality, which is very important, of political assassination. We talk about the practical techniques of it. And we talk about a revisionist history of great assassinations in history, from Caesar through Archduke Ferdinand, Lincoln, you name it. Talking about who is the good guy, who is the bad guy, and did assassination actually do any good? Did it actually improve the situation? And our hero, Charles Knight, of course, is a good guy, and he's got strong views about all these subjects I just mentioned, and he's advancing to the next, even more politically incorrect occupation at the end of Assassin. So it'll be out in February, and I think it's going to be kind of a breakthrough book because everybody hates Trump and is going to presume with a title like Assassin that I must be talking about Trump. I'm not, incidentally, but yeah. So you can say a lot of things in novels that you dare not say in nonfiction. So, yeah, look out for Assassin. It'll be out in February, I think.
Coming February of 2020, I should have mentioned today, we're recording this Friday, November 8th, 2019. Doug, we wanted to get back with you to talk about a couple of big controversial topics, and you're never one to shy away from controversy, so let's plunge on into those. The first one we've had is 5G. People are aware that cellular communications, people have an ever insatiable desire for higher speeds and higher availability. Everywhere you go, you want to have instant access to information at limited speeds, and yet there's some new serious concerns being raised both at individual medical provider levels, but also up at entire countries that have said they're putting moratoriums on rollout of 5G in their countries due to unanswered questions about the potential health effects. Could you talk to us about what your slant is on 5G and why you think it's an important part of our future?
Well, I'm a technophile. I love technology. It's the only thing that could possibly keep me alive for another 20 years. So I believe in pulling out all the stops on anything and everything that can be done technologically. So that's my philosophical overview on it. But as far as 5G is concerned, look, even though I'm a technophile, I hate my cell phone. In fact, I never even use the thing except when I'm at a conference or on the road or something. Like, keep it in my car in case I get a flat and I want to change, something like that. I hate the damn things. People that use their little devices all the time are like tethered to them like a dog on a leash. So am I anxiously, in the light of everything I've said so far, am I anxiously awaiting the arrival of 5G? No, I really don't care. As long as I can, I don't use my cell phone, I use my computer. And if I can watch movies and I can watch YouTube videos and I can talk to you on Skype, I really don't care about it. I know the advantages. I mean, it's going to be possible for doctors to conduct operations on the other side of the world. This is all wonderful. And there are other advantages. Do I think it's going to damage you? Well, maybe we don't know whether, as the electromagnetic spectrum is broadened, maybe it'll do things to cells. They say not. It's academic for me. I'm not going to get a 5G phone until I have to. Everything I want to do could probably be done on a phone, could be done with 3G or certainly 4G. So this is an academic point to me.
I'm not sure it should stay that way, though, because they talk about the coverage radius of these things being much smaller due to the higher frequency, and so they're going to be these repeaters and towers and everything are going to be everywhere you go in commercial areas. So you're going to be bathed in that radiation no matter whether you're using a cell phone or not.
Yeah, you're right. So whether I like it or not, those 5G repeaters are going to be outside bathing me in radiation. Well, we'll see what happens. There's nothing I can do about it, is there? Except most of the time, whether I'm in Aspen or in Uruguay or most of the time here in Argentina, I'm out in the country. And I don't think it's going to be economic for them to put any 5G repeaters near me. Just here in the city. I'm in Buenos Aires right now. Yeah, they're going to be everywhere. Okay, fine. I'll have to live with that. I'm not convinced they're a danger. I've heard the arguments. Okay, I've heard the counter arguments. I don't feel technically competent to make a judgment. So, and I don't care about the damn things. And most of the time, I'm going to stay away from them because I like being in the countryside. So
that theme of wanting to be far from dense population centers is brought up frequently on our Reluctant Preppers channels by people talking about safer locations. And we're going to circle back with you about safer locations later in this talk. But could you talk to us, since you brought it up, Argentina has been getting some press recently about inflation. Can you talk to us about what you understand is going on financially there?
Well, I just got into BA 2 days ago. Last night, I got together with a group, a 100-year-old group I'm a member of called the Round Table.
Is it a group of 100-year-olds?
No. Well, they're all, I've got to say that we're all a little bit too long in the tooth. But no, we're not 100 years old. The group is 100 years old.
Gotcha.
It's called the Round Table, and it's composed of 7 Brits, 7 Americans, and 7 Argentines. And we get together once a month and present a paper and put on a dinner for the other 20 guys at a ritzy joint or somebody's house about some subject that you know about. Okay, so I went last night. These are all pretty well-connected, knowledgeable guys. And we're all talking about the recent election of the Fernandezes, Alberto and Cristina, and nobody is certain. And these are people that live in Argentina, that are smart and well-connected. Nobody knows. I'm pessimistic because although Alberto is the president, he's just another wishy-washy criminal Peronist, and Cristina might try to, dominate him. Anything could happen. So, between the two of them, they'll come up with plenty of stupid ideas. I'm afraid that Argentina is going back into the soup. It's too bad, because Argentina is a wonderful place to live. I love being here in Buenos Aires or up in Salta province. But, every time the legislature meets or the president puts out a decree, it's further circumscribing what you must do and what you must not do. And then they find new ways to have to pay for it. And of course, the government's already bankrupt. So to answer the question, there's no riots in the streets or anything like that, but it's a real cheap country right now. Come down and visit. This is the cheapest country in the world outside of the Orient right now.
So domestic inflation there has driven their currency down so low that it's a great deal if you're carrying U.S. dollars. Is that your point?
Yeah, it's a rotten deal for the average Argentine because he saves in pesos, and the value of his pesos have been destroyed. But I'm not an Argentine. I'm a foreign visitor that buys things with dollars. So you got to look at the bright side. And most of your listeners are going to be Americans or Europeans or Canadians. So come on down. Bring your money to spend. If you want to buy stuff, like, for instance, the price of property here in Argentina is about 10% for an apartment in Buenos Aires, for instance, which is a world-class city, 10% or less of what you'd pay for the same thing in New York or London. That's pretty cheap, and you can live very well here. So think about that. But other than an apartment or maybe a small farm, forget about it. You don't want to put money in this country.
Well, but I want to look at a different angle of what you just said. You said the value of their currency is being driven down by inflation, and the government has got these increasingly intrusive policies and that sort of thing. Aren't we just looking into the future from the United States then? If Trump is calling for a weaker dollar, and then the Fed is intent on flooding the world with dollars in terms of QE, and all of the government regulations and policies seem to be increasingly intrusive and dictatorial. Aren't we seeing a glimpse into our future by looking into what's happening in Argentina?
Oh, no question about it. We're catching up with Argentina in the race to the bottom. We're at best a generation behind the Argentines. They're always putting on new taxes here. They put on a wealth tax some years ago. They've got taxes on everything. They've got regulations for everything. I'm surprised anybody can even open up a little corner tienda and sell chewing gum in this country. It's so highly regulated and contorted. But the U.S. is getting that way. And as proof of that, I offer you the roughly 24 criminally insane lunatics that are running for the Democratic presidential nomination. I offer you the fact that AOC, a 29-year-old Puerto Rican waitress who won a popularity contest, is the standard bearer for the Democratic Party. And there's a good chance that these idiots could win. Actually, I think that the Democrats are going to have to, because stupid, but they're not that stupid, because they know that the vast middle of the country is on the edge of a civil war. If one of these people, they'll probably put up Bloomberg, who's kind of like, he's not crazy, and he's smart. He'll go up against Trump. But if one of the other Democrats win, I mean, we could have a civil war in the U.S. And incidentally, what was the unpleasantness that we had from 1861 to 1865 was not a civil war. A civil war is a conflict where two or more parties are fighting each other to take control of the same government. That was not the case back then. It was a war of secession, similar to what we had in 1789, which was another war of secession. But actually, the revolution was also a civil war because most people are unaware of the fact that 1/3 of the country wanted to secede from the crown. A third did not want to, and that's what caused a civil war in the country. And the other third just didn't care. So anything could happen in the next. It's going to depend, as everybody knows, on the economy. And at this point, and I've been way premature, I admit it. But I think the economy is going to collapse in between now and the election, which means the average chimpanzee is going to vote for somebody other than who is in office, which means the Democrats. So there you have it. That's probably more of an answer than you were looking for.
No, that's fine. In fact, I wanted to press in a little bit further on the notion of government destroying its own currency through quantitative easing or whatever other policies. What is your take on the Federal Reserve bond repos that have been going on now for over a month and are supposed to be going on for at least another 2 months going forward, and to the tune of anywhere from $75 billion a night plus longer-term ones of $30 billion or whatever? Where do you think all this money is going and for what purpose, and what does it tell us about what's really going on?
Tells me that the ice is breaking under us, that there's a crack in the system, and they're trying to plug it up with another quantitative easing, although they haven't called it that. They're printing money like crazy, as you've just mentioned. Now, where's all that money going? Well, it's still going into the financial markets, into the stock market, into the bond market to keep interest rates down. So the financial bubble, I hope, gets bigger. But eventually, by that I mean soon, it's going to start flowing into consumer goods. And you'll stop having good inflation, which is when financial assets, no inflation is good. But within the context of the idiots running the Federal Reserve and the government, good inflation is when the financial markets go up. Bad inflation is when consumer prices go up. It's going to reverse. It's going to be like in the 70s when financial prices went down and consumer prices went up. That's what's going to happen. And this is going to be so ugly because maybe the average guy hasn't been crying too much about the low interest rates because he's so heavily in debt, perhaps. Although interest rates on credit cards are very high and on student loans are very high. It's just mortgage prices that are low. But when consumer prices start going up at the same time as the stock market starts going down, the average guy is going to really feel this. And listen, interest rates on 10-year bonds are, let's say, 2%. Interest rates double to 4%, which isn't much, and it's still below the historic norm. Bond prices are going to about fall in half. Not quite, but there are a lot of people going to lose a lot of money. So the natives could get very restless.
When you talk about people that are going to lose a lot of money, one of the biggest losers are going to be retirement funds and pension funds and places that have made huge investments in the bond market. How do you see that happen? You're a guy that watches big trends, mega trends. So what about the demographic shift of the aging culture, retiring baby boomer generation at the time that the rug's going to go out underneath the retirement and pension funds?
Yeah, I don't know how much money the average person has saved. I don't really believe government statistics. When the government asks you a question, do you or does anybody actually tell them the truth? Well, not if you've got half a brain. You try to tell them nothing and then tell them as little as you can. So I don't know how accurate any of their statistics are. But there's an awful lot of baby boomers that are relying on Social Security. And of course, Social Security, ever since day one, has been a Ponzi scheme. And that's coming to an end at this point because the U.S. government is bankrupt. And it's running $1 trillion deficits going to $2 trillion. So I don't know what these people relying on Social Security. I don't know what's going to happen to these people. I don't know where the money is going to come from. Pension funds. It's amazing. There are bankrupt pension funds even today. I don't know how this happened with the stock market and the bond markets both at all-time highs. How are there underfunded pension funds, especially run by states and cities? How did they do this during a huge financial bubble? So this is a real problem. I mean, a lot of people, and then the real estate market will get hit. No, this is a big deal we're looking at. I mean, it's actually kind of scary. I just want to watch it on my widescreen out on my farm. I don't want to watch it out my front window.
In the vein of talking about what governments have done wrong, you've been quoted, and I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but something along the lines of that governments basically are the root of many of the problems that we face today. What are maybe your top three that you think are the worst problems that are getting worse that we're facing today that are really going to come to a head that were caused by government that we maybe haven't talked about so far?
Mm-hmm. Well, as you may know, Dunnigan, I don't believe in government as an entity. I don't think it's necessary, shocking as that may be to some of your listeners. Why? Because government is pure force. It's coercion. It comes out of the barrel of a gun, as Mao said. So that being the case, we should try to limit government because we want to limit coercion in civil society. But it's getting bigger every day all around the world. There's not a single country in the world that's going in the right direction anymore. So getting back to answering your question, what are the biggest problems that we have with government? Well, God, I can't think of anything they do that's actually favorable. I mean, over the last 20 years or more, the police have become militarized with all kinds of military equipment from the Defense Department hands them down. And most cops today are ex-military, where they pick up all kinds of bad habits. I'm not talking about learning to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and shine your shoes. Those are good habits, I guess. But other habits that are, so the police are getting worse in the U.S. What else is government doing? Can you think of one favorable, positive thing that government does? It's a parasite, but people look at it as being a cornucopia. The problem is people have everything turned topsy-turvy. We're thinking like a third world country, where if you want to be successful, if you're smart, you want to get into government to have power, to have a guaranteed income. I mean, listen, everybody thinks of the government in favorable lights these days. They love the military. This is the moral tenure of the U.S. has been changing in a negative way for decades. So I'm sorry to be so unremittingly pessimistic, frankly, because when we move into the trailing edge of this gigantic financial hurricane we entered in 2008, it's going to be much worse and much longer lasting and much different than what we experienced in 2008 and 2009. And this troubles me because it could be potentially physically dangerous. And also, my friend Richard Russell, who's now dead, thought about this a lot. And he said, in a depression, everybody loses. The winner is just the person that loses the least. And I mean, you could say, yeah, listen, most of the real wealth in the world is still going to be here after we enter the depression or after the depression is over. Yeah, most of it will. And if you're a nimble speculator that guesses right, then maybe you can get more of that personal wealth. But the problem is that the political situation is becoming so collectivist oriented, and socialism as a ideology is being, it's raising its head out of the swamp again. I'm not sure that making a lot of money is actually such a good idea, or at least if anybody knows that you have. So anyway, that's not, I don't know if this is practical advice to anybody. It's just an opinion.
That's very good. Doug, before we wrap, we want to make sure that people know where to find your work if they want to stay plugged into your latest writings and thinking.
Well, I do a free-ranging interview on almost everything and anything on InternationalMan.com, at least once a week, and generally do the same thing on CaseyResearch.com. Although if you sign up for that interview, Legacy, the publisher that I sold most of the company to, will bombard you with spam, subscribe to this and get rich overnight stuff. So definitely go to internationalman.com, go to the CaseyResearch.com website, and tune into my interviews there. The other thing I'd recommend is go out and buy a copy of Speculator and Drug Lord, the first two novels. You can get them from highgroundbooks.com or from Amazon, because you don't want to fall behind on this series of novels, because they're actually really great reads with lots of information intertwined in the story. So those are my commercial pitches, Donegan.
Fair enough. We've been speaking with Doug Casey from the InternationalMan.com and CaseyResearch.com. Doug, before we let you go, can you stick around for one bonus question for our Patreon supporters?
Yes.
All right. So thank you, Doug Casey, for joining us this time on Finance and Liberty.
Pleasure, Donegan.
Hey, Reluctant Preppers, if you want to hear more bonus footage from other guests we've had on, come on over right now to patreon.com/reluctantpreppers and access that bonus footage there. Take care.
It seems so hard to order. Who can I trust, and how do I even start?
Oh, you just go to sdbullion.com/rp, pick out whatever gold or silver you want, add it to your cart, you can check out, and it's on its way. And they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau.
Wow, it's that easy?
Your first ounce of silver is at spot price, and you get free shipping on any order over $99 at sdbullion.com/rp. Reluctant Preppers provides educational awareness and commentary only. Opinions expressed do not constitute personalized financial advice. Viewers are encouraged to do their own research and seek qualified personal financial consultation before making investment decisions.
After I order gold or silver, how can I trust I'm going to get it? And I don't want everybody to know that I'm ordering gold and silver.
Oh, it's okay. It's fully insured, it's trackable, and you have to sign for it, so nobody else is going to get it but you. And it comes discreetly packaged. If you order a small amount, like maybe gold, it'll probably come in a box that looks something like this.
Okay.
And if you order a large amount, maybe like silver, it'll come in a box that looks something like this.
Wow.
But it doesn't say gold or silver on there. It might say something industrial or something else like that, but nobody's going to know what you ordered.
Oh, that's great to know.
Your first ounce of silver is at spot price, and you get free shipping on any order over $99 at sdbullion.com/rp.
If I own gold or silver, how will I ever be able to spend it?
Oh, sure. Well, consider good times or bad times. Like in good times, you can sell it back to the same place you bought it from. sdbullion.com/rp will buy it back at the best price guaranteed on the internet. You can take it to a local coin shop and get cash in your hand, completely anonymous. Some people you know may be willing to take gold or silver coins in exchange for goods or services. Now, in bad times, when things have really fallen apart, time after time in history, people have found that in hard times, gold and silver really does come through as something that people recognize as value even after everything else has failed. Your first ounce of silver is at spot price, and you get free shipping on any order over $99 at sdbullion.com/rp.
What if gold or silver drop in price after I order it?
Well, everything fluctuates with time, but nothing has held up longer and better than gold and silver throughout all the changes that have happened in history. Your first ounce of silver is at spot price, and you get free shipping on any order over $99 at sdbullion.com/rp.
What what good does gold do me anyway? I can't use it for anything.
Well, I think I found a form you might appreciate.
Wow. That's beautiful. Wow, I can wear that just about anywhere.
And you can take it with you through airport security and across borders. It's small and compact and lightweight, and you can even hand it down through generations. Your first ounce of silver is at spot price, and you get free shipping on any order over $99 at sdbullion.com/RP.